business. It's business time. Hang tight, we're gonna get into the business right here in a couple minutes. Baby, baby. It's business. It's business time. All right, we are here with It's Business Time, week 16. We got Genesis Z Tzounakos in the house. My man, thank you for coming through from XOL Productions as well as numerous other ventures we're going to dive into. Real quick, before we get started, I do always like to start with a very quick thank you to Stitch House for having us right here on Market Street. They got 12 local beers on tap, great food. Right now I'm drinking the alt beer, which is a delicious 5%er. Genesis.
The hottie toddy.
Yeah, with the New Year's hottie toddy and tea. Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's, everybody.
Here's to a good one, a good 2024. 2023. That was quite a run, but I think
I like that run.
it was a good one. Yeah, I think
it's always up and downs, but I choose it was a great one.
Yeah,
it's a great one for me.
Enough.
Everybody else want to complain, not me.
Well, yes, with that, we are rolling. No complaints. That's a good place to start, right? So, again, we got Genesis Z from XOL Productions. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I wanted to have you here in the new year because, I've known you for a long time. I wanted to make sure to get this series kicked off with a lot of different folks from a lot of different walks of life before I started having people on who I know this well. But at the same time, it's always fun to sit down with someone who has the breadth of experience you have. So before we kick into it, this series is largely about folks out there who are starting small businesses or looking to break out on their own and start ventures. Genesis is a great point of contact for that. He has been all over the place. And let's kind of start with the beginning, because I know you have a long journey from out in L.A., working with, everyone from 50 Cent and Redman to, Sony Productions, Lakers, all that type of stuff. Yeah. So a lot of the stories are going to be under different names and production companies and things like that. But why don't, just for the people at home, why don't we start kind of what were you doing in this area that launched you into the L.A. market?
Well, I moved here in 1989 or 90. Mm-hmm. I was from Oakland. I was a b-boy in Oakland, but at the same time I was listening to a lot of Duran Duran and other, Iron Maiden. I was a mixed up kid,
Yeah.
But being here, I appreciated it even more. That I came to find out that I was hanging around a lot with punk rock people, to skaters, to Jamaicans, to just a whole melting pot of thrash metal. And
yeah.
I was the biker BMX guy with the skaters.
Right.
I was kind of like an outcast, but with the outcasts.
And you were doing you started playing music in the scene. This was in Oakland.
I started guitar in Oakland. My grandmother gave me a guitar because she got tired of me jumping around the couch pretending to play guitar. So when I got here, I went to high school here and met some cool, had common interest with a lot of people here. With the music that I loved. Nice. And even the music I hated. And when I hate something, it's not really hate, it's a phobia.
Right.
One time I had a phobia with snakes, and I decided to own one. So
had to be
the phobia
snakes.
was gone. You got to do opposite action.
So you were in music. What was it that kind of consolidated? Like, how did you wind up taking? So in the music and arts world, right? Our music and our art, that's our product, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of in the business world equivalent to designing a legging or designing like something at an Etsy store, right? So at this time, your music was your product. What was it that launched that took that music and brought you into the types of markets that you were able to work in later?
To be honest, it was, now I think about it, I think it's really an accidental, if not a fate thing, because I was really into music, ethnomusicology.
Okay.
I love finding out about where the music was originated from. But then my mom said, there's no money in that, son. You can't be an ethnomusicologist.
Right.
And I told her that in 9th grade. So, but at the same time, I was playing guitar, studying heavy blues and virtuoso classical music.
Mm-hmm.
That would be me alone. When I was alone, I was literally playing blues and classical music. I want to go to Juilliard's, but outside the home, I was trying to fit in. I was doing heavy metal to hip hop to punk rock, whatever that gets the girls, right? So, but at home, I was really fascinated with the ethnic part of music, and also the Renaissance part of that fundamental scholastic part of where classical music came from. Knowing that I'd been through a very nomadic type of lifestyle. I was born in the Philippines at 9. I mean, I was born in the Philippines, and at 9, I moved out to Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and a little bit of France. And having many culture shocks, I was just like, I was magnetized to what makes music more deeper than the present time. What is the commonality? What's the commonality between Eastern Europe music and Middle Eastern?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
so
I was just really fascinated.
Yeah, this sounds like kind of the what we describe as like the menu period of like, you know, your growth, right? Where you have this broad menu, you have this broad experience, you're doing a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And then how did that transition into, you know, crossing the country to work with what the studio was Rat Lab, was it?
LabRats.
LabRats. Sorry.
Okay.
I got dyslexia. So how did the music translate into moving
LabRats.
into like a more formal setting?
Okay.
Because I know like you know, Fate Had It is great.
Yeah.
But Fate is a tough thing for people to duplicate.
Right,
you know. Right. So if you had like advice to those who are in that scene, like what was it about? Like you had a special mix of sounds and personality and all those things, and then kind of what was that moment that launched what you would say like the beginning of your.
That's a very good question, because now I'm going to say it like this. You know, the old thing with nature versus nurture. At the time, I had no idea what was happening. I was in a band called XOL. We're pretty much like a punk, Rage Against Machine.
I like it.
Jane's Addiction band that was popular, underground popularity in the 90s here in Wilmington. But when I went home, I had this little inside intuition that I can really do what Dre does on as far as making beats.
Yeah, yeah.
And intuitively, I forgot that
Do you
I
mean
was
Dr. Dre or from
Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre, like the West Coast sound.
Yeah, got you.
And I forgot that I was a b-boy in Oakland. I'm like, okay, that's what happened. I buried the b-boy part of me, and that's why I'm able to. When I first got a keyboard when I was in a rock band with XOL, I was literally secretly making like hip hop West Coast beats on the keyboard.
Right.
And fast forward to LA after high school.
Wait, don't fast forward.
Yeah.
So you're making beats, and then what happened? How did you get?
I kept it a secret.
But wait, so did you move to LA for the opportunity, or were you brought out there?
I was brought out there due to parental peer pressure.
Okay,
My parents wanted me to have a real legit job, so they thought, why don't you just be behind the scenes, do the audio engineering part
so
of.
You actively went out there to be a producer,
to be a sound engineer.
To be a sound engineer, I love it.
While I was going to a sound engineering school, I was being bidded by many managers in the parking lot, and I don't want to get in detail. Some of it was really severe. Some of it was considered some.
Now, what was the special sauce? Was this like your talent? Was this your personality? A little bit of both? Like, you know, what kind of made you stand out in such a competitive market?
When I realized I was slanging beats after high school and was able to sell beats for a lucrative price on street prices, and LA booking managers were fighting for me while I was in audio school. I realized I was special, on that field.
Right.
Then I had to wake up 15 years later. Wait a minute, I forgot, just like the b-boy thing. I forgot I'm a musician. I'm not just a producer.
Right.
So when I remembered I'm a musician, I went back to Wilmington.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's after that.
That's where we're at now. I love how you jump. You know, I want the slow walk, right? Because this series is largely about like those critical moments, right? Because some people will make beats in their basement for 20 years, and nobody will ever fight over their songs, right? We don't have time to get into what makes a beat good and why some are better than others. Yeah. But what I do like about your story is it's like, you know, you put yourself in a position by going into the market, right? Yeah. Now, this series, I've interviewed a lot of people here in Wilmington, and of course, like, Wilmington's a great launching ground. You get to test your proof of concept, you get to build a network, things like that, and once you're ready, in some fields, you're fine here forever, but in other fields, once you're ready to launch into Philly or Baltimore, Washington, New York, it's like a 2-hour drive away. So I like that your story starts with you're doing what you love, and you head to a market that you know is going to value that. And you start getting approached by people in that space. Right. And then so what was the beginning and the impetus of LabRats?
Wow. The beginning of LabRats was definitely when you go to college, it's not just about the classes, not about just the knowledge. It's about the network. Right. And through the network, I was fortunate enough to meet the right partners in that school. Okay. And
what school is this?
It was Full Sail. It was called LARW at one point, but they sold it to Full Sail. I can actually say I'm from Full Sail.
Okay, that's
even though it was transitioning at that time.
I went to UAD.
Did you? Okay.
Before it was, you know, the quality that it is now. So it's like everyone's like, oh, that's a great school, and I'm like, yeah, it's always been that way. No, that's cool. So you met the crew that would later become your production crew.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. Yep. And then so you started working with these guys. Was this the group that you produced the songs that you wound up selling to the Lakers? Because that's a story. Yes. Everybody in the music and arts field, like, they don't know what the mountain looks like, right? Mm-hmm. But of course, like, being able to sell songs, get royalties with major companies, LA Lakers obviously being one of them, that's a great achievement. And, you know, if we get nothing else from you today, you know, what was that period like? Like, how did you put together the songs, and then did you reach out to the Lakers? Did they find you? How did that come about?
Well, in that era, if quality showed through consistency, our turnaround was very fast. We were forced to do 12 beats a day, which is unheard of. An average work for me at that time was 3 beats a day. But we were doing 12 to 15 a day, no matter what the emotion you're going through. Yeah. You just had to do it. But because of our work ethic, on those days, production CDs would be passed around in the studio. And other engineers would have, you know, this is how it happened.
The physical copies.
Yeah. One of our engineers had a physical copy of our catalog, and somehow it just got passed down. And it became a reputable catalog, and then eventually we got a phone call. I don't know how that works nowadays, but we're very fortunate to have that kind of opportunity, and it was a dream come true. Like, we had celebrities coming through our rink-a-dink apartment. People thought we're like the biggest drug dealers, but we're not. We're just selling beats. You know what I mean? We had everybody come through our apartment, but anybody.
So the sauce, and I'm sorry if I'm drawing a narrative for you.
I love this.
Yeah. So the sauce. So you put yourself in the market. Yeah. You were grinding at a high rate, producing 12 beats a day, creating this big catalog, and then part of the network that you had acquired passed that along to the right person. Yep. Now, did you have to pay royalties to the person that passed that along?
Nope.
This was a friend thing?
It was a word of mouth, like anything else.
That's a beauty of referrals and networks right there. But that's awesome. And then my understanding, and again, I don't want to get into the details, particularly if there are NDAs involved, non-disclosure agreements. But
I'm trying to avoid that right now.
Yeah, right.
As you can see my face. I'm like, no, don't talk about that.
Right, exactly. And and there's certain things, right? Nobody wants. Like I was in booking for a while a few years ago, and when you're looking up how much a national act costs, they keep that very hush hush. Right, and you'd think that you could just go on their website. How much does it cost to hire Nicki Minaj or whatever, right? And you'd think they just put it right there, private party.
You don't need to know.
But no. They do not want you to know. And if you tell anybody without approval, you can get in trouble. Yeah. So you the LA producers pick up this catalog of songs. Yeah. Right, and through that, you and the other members of LabRats. Yeah.
We split right in 50-50. I mean, it was really 33.33.
Right, yeah, into thirds. And then you continued to get paid out on that for a number
and I still have that relationship with them right now. Whether we're to get officially together or not, we're still getting money from that catalog.
Nice.
And, which is great. Love my team, and if I'm in L.A., I would continue to be in the studio with them right now.
Right. So, and that's great. I mean, for this series, like, I've had people on who are, in construction, and they talk about referrals and networks, and I've had people on who, are doing leather working or vegan cooking or whatever it is. And so much of it is about the crew that you have around you. Right. So I do love that story. Like, even though, Excuse me. And I've known you for a while, and when you tell that story, you're a very humble guy. You make it sound like, oh, one thing happened, and then this other thing happened. And
it's actually a requirement, because it's a dangerous game you're playing with here.
It is.
If you don't get humble.
But, I hope for those listening, I've pulled out enough to kind of show that there aren't a lot of accidents in business. There's putting yourself in a good position, surrounding yourself with good people, and putting out a quality and a caliber and a frequency of product that gets attention.
Absolutely.
And so, that's a really, really great journey. And then I understand it was a combination of family and opportunity that brought you back here to the East Coast. Mm-hmm. And in the interest of time, I like to keep these right around 20 minutes. This has been a whole lot of fun. I do want to
appreciate it.
Let's catch up to where we're at now. So you play all over. I'm aware of that. Yeah. You have a couple different ventures. You still have XOL Productions, in which you're doing music production. You're doing some event stuff. Yeah. Obviously, Genesis hosts the Wednesday night industry jam over at Oddity Bar. Every Wednesday. We'll definitely do a little commercial for Oddity Bar right up here. Come check that out. Any Wednesday, starts at 9:30. And what else you got going on right now? I know I just kind of gave you the commercial for you, because I know you so well.
I love you, Aaron.
Yeah.
You're the man. Thank you. And Oddity, thanks for plugging in for Oddity Bar. Besides Oddity Bar, we have Finnegan starting Thursdays now instead of Sundays. Mm-hmm. That's another kind of open mic. It's more of a songwriters open mic. And Oddity Bar is more of the younger crowd.
Finnegan's on Lovering, right?
Lovering Avenue, yeah. As far as my projects, I had a dream one time when I got here. I kind of had a scar for being in bands, so I decided to combine the both. I decided to name Genesis Z and the Black Mambas. It's supposed to be just the Lost Boys, but everybody has that name. So I said, screw it. I'm going to put my name, Genesis Z, and the Black Mambas. That way I can never be fired.
I love that.
I'm totally joking.
You can check out Genesis Z on Spotify, Apple Music, all the platforms as well. You are your own brand, as well as being in so many different bands, so many different groups. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming through. This has been awesome. And honestly, like, it's so hard. I know it's hard to describe a journey like you've been on. Yeah, it really is. It feels so scattered while you're doing it. And then when you look back, you're like, oh, where do I start?
You made me realize some stuff as I was speaking, and I'm like, wow, okay, this is cool.
Good. I hope, if nothing else, one of the things that this series does is kind of help artists and musicians realize that they are running small businesses.
That's right.
And help small businesses realize that there are a lot of resources out there of people who have done something similar to what they're doing. Even if it's not selling the same thing or it's the same network or whatever, it's a lot of the same strategies to get to the next level.
Can I say one more thing?
Hey, the floor is yours, my man.
One more thing. This year, 2024, the Black Mambas is just now the Black Mambas, and that's what I aspired it to be. initially. I hoped it was going to transpire this way. And I realized how phenomenal these guys are. So we're just calling it the Black Mambas. We're working on a new record. And I'm also working on my own record as a solo artist. So there it is.
Yeah. So we have that to look forward to, solo artist and the Black Mambas record, and it's nice to see. It's wonderful to see you're still doing the same thing that ignited the passion so long ago. But Genesis, thanks again for coming through. Wonderful to start the new year with you here. That does it for week 16 on It's Business Time. We want to thank Stitch House for having us. Thanks again to Genesis for coming through. And we will see you next time. And cue the soundtrack.
All right.
It's been